Welcome back to another episode of Owning the Weight podcast. I'm your host, Jillian Tedesco. And joining me today are my girls, Abby and Maddie. And on this podcast, we talk all things wellness, nutrition, and business. And today we're going to talk about the role of faith in personal development. So those of you who have followed me for a long time, you know my faith is a big part of my journey, and personal development has been 100% necessary in growing Fit Flavors. So today we're just going to really talk about it and hopefully break some of this down for you guys and see how this can help you on your journey.
Woohoo.
She's excited. Can you tell?
We just got done with a dance party, so now I'm like,
all
jazzed up.
Yeah, I think to start off, let's talk about what personal growth actually means to us. If you want to kick it off, Abby.
Yeah,
let's hear from you.
Personal growth to me is me putting down my ego and letting myself realize that I make mistakes and be like, okay, I don't want to do that again. Or like, oh, I like it whenever I did this, but I didn't like whenever that happened or I did this.
Mm-hmm.
So putting aside my ego and allowing myself to be like, all right.
So like a little self-reflection.
Yeah.
Maybe like looking in the mirror and accepting when it's good and not good.
Yeah.
Okay. What about you, man?
Yeah. I mean, I kind of agree with Abby. Like, you have to put your ego aside if you're going to have any sort of personal growth, because I feel like that's the biggest thing people don't do is like, they're like, oh, why am I not growing? Like, why can't I grow as a person and things like that? I'm like, well, because your ego is getting in the way. Like, you can't put your ego aside to be like, I'm wrong, I messed up, like I need to fix this and things like that. And I think that's the biggest thing.
I think for me, it's like doing new work. Like every time I think about how I've grown through business, like I've either had to learn a new skill or just open my perspective to kind of see further in the future. Because if I'm trying to grow a business, like I got to see beyond what's in my mind. And so like, how do I open up that vision? And so exposing myself to people who are more successful, reading new books, creating a new discipline. I've every time I create a new discipline, whether that's been reading, writing, getting up early, saying no to things, it has helped me achieve more. So I would say that's for me is like doing extra work.
Yeah. I feel like being uncomfortable too. Like, you have to be uncomfortable to be able to grow. Because if you're not uncomfortable, you're never gonna.
I saw this really cool meme. It was by Tom Brady the other day. My husband sent it to me, which is funny. It was like, do it anyway kind of thing. And he was talking about like, you're too tired. It's too late. It's the weekend. You're ready for some you time. He said, fuck that. He's like, if you're not doing it, your competition is doing it. And he's like, do it anyways. And it's like, when you're talking about the uncomfortableness, like it is like doing it when you don't want to do it and showing up for yourself, or whether it's looking in the mirror and saying, dang it, I was wrong. Could I possibly grow from this? You know?
So how do you guys think that your faith has influenced your growth, your personal growth?
Oh my gosh. I mean, God leads me every day.
Yeah.
I feel like he gives me a lot of wisdom and guidance. And as I've understood his word more and more, he only leads me to blessings and prosperity. I feel like when I'm obedient to the guidance he's given me, that's really what's kept me on track. I mean, for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think like I grew up Catholic, like I've grown up in the church and things, but I kind of lost all that until I came into Fit Flavors and like meeting you guys and stuff like that. Like, I've definitely brought faith back into my journey. And like, you can just tell that like my life's so different now that I do have it all back in. Like, I want to wake up and like move forward and like have his word like in my life daily. And
that's awesome.
So cool. Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's so amazing.
What about you?
So I actually was just baptized on Sunday, this past Sunday. So excited. But for me, like the most recent, how it's influenced my life recently is I'm like, whenever I'm going through my thought process of making decisions, I'm like, oh, that's not Jesus-like. Or like, that's not something that Jesus would do.
Well, legit, what would Jesus do?
Literally, WWJD, baby. Like,
we should come back of the bracelets.
They're back. Colors.
Yeah. But yeah, like whenever I'm making daily decisions, I'm like, what would Jesus do? Like, as corny as that sounds.
Yeah.
I have a story about that.
Do tell.
It just happened recently to me. It was a couple weeks ago. We're doing some construction at our house. I think I told you this. And our neighbor parked their car in our front yard, and it was to block the dump truck from coming into our backyard. And we were getting some rock delivered, and unfortunately they delivered the rock and they poured it in our yard over the property line. It was probably like maybe a good 4 to 6 feet into their yard, in the back of their yard, the back corner by where our yards touch, like where we're doing the construction. And I was like, and at first, me and Jason both get irate. We're like, we're gonna tow the car, you know, like it's like a nice car. Let me just say, it was a very high-end name brand car. And I was like, man, I can't believe he parked that thing there with the rims and all the construction and stuff. Ooh. And this little thing inside me goes, how would Jesus handle this? And
dude, it's so convicting.
And I go, Jesus would not be angry. He would apologize and take ownership of not communicating about what happened and apologize. And so I told Jason, let's completely pivot our reaction here with anger. I go, this is our neighbor. Like, love your neighbor, you know, as yourself kind of thing. Like, we don't want to be at odds with our neighbor. They've got a child who plays with our kids. And I was like, these are good people. Like, we've never had any issues with them. And I said, you know what, let's just handle this different. So I wrote them, actually I went over to the house, no one was home. And so I wrote them a really nice text message. And I just said, hey, I wanted to apologize. We had the rock delivered. And obviously they poured it in your yard. I apologize. That is not our intention. We want you to know someone's coming tomorrow to get it out of your yard. I apologize. I didn't say anything about their car. I just, and then they kind of like apologized, backs up. I could have overreacted. And then they moved their car, and it was just kind of like he was embarrassed, but he didn't have to like live in that embarrassment. I didn't even acknowledge it.
Yeah.
And
did he ever write you back?
Yeah. You know, we had a whole thought, and he's like, I know you guys are good people. And Jay's like, we're going to take care of the yard. We'll pay to fix it all. And it was just, I was so proud of us. It was so beautiful. And I was just like, man, that went a different route.
Yeah.
I was so happy how we handled that. Totally adulting. Yeah.
She's like, thank goodness.
Yeah. But I think when you're led in the right way with how to handle things and with the right heart position, like I go, Jay, we got to take ownership. We need to apologize, and also apologize for our bad communication about this coming and happening and going on so long. You know, we'd had all that rain. And so it just kept dragging the whole project out. Yeah.
So now how do you guys understand yourself? Like, how does understanding yourself as God's child like impact your guys' self-growth?
I think when you know you're God's child, like you're loved regardless of your sin and your shortcomings, your shame, your guilt, all that, all those are washed away through the blood of Christ. And when you truly believe that and you become a part of the family of God, and you understand like God is this God of like, you're supposed to fear God, and he's a God of discipline and all that. And like, sometimes I see him as this hardcore God, but then the gift of Jesus was such a beautiful thing that like once that you can put yourself and understand that that's what he wants for you, you can live with so much more freedom and joy and happiness and peace. And you learn to process those, I don't want to say negative emotions, but emotions that don't serve you better, because he died for you. So you didn't have to feel that way. So like, accept that gift and live to your best and honor him with your actions and your works, you know?
Yeah. I'm like,
ditto. Took the words right out of my mouth.
I feel like sometimes my like deep responses is because I've been like in such dark valleys in my walk of faith, and like I've had to do a lot of reading and soul searching. Like I had like 3 years of hell. You guys know this with the business that like I questioned my faith, I questioned the business, I questioned everything in my life, and it went on for 3.5 years, and it was like a valley. And so that's when God made me the closest to him. Like I didn't realize it then, but I just didn't give up, and he never left me ever.
Yeah. I feel like that's where like the season I'm in right now.
You
like
just
questioning, like
he is waiting. Strengthening you.
Yeah.
He wants you to believe in him, and like he's pulling you closer to him. And the more you search, the more he will show up for you.
Yeah. I know. I think I'm like still like pulling away. Like I'm like, oh no, like you haven't answered this, and this. Like what am I doing wrong?
That's so selfish.
I know.
That's so selfish when you think about it.
I know. You're like thinking about it. You're like, okay.
Wait for the Lord.
Like, come on, where's the timeline? But yeah, that's the season I'm in right now.
Okay.
But,
embrace that season. It is character shaping.
It is. It's so uncomfortable, but I'm like, it's growing me as a person, and I just need to.
There's this verse I love. Actually, I think it's in my signature on my email. Suffering produces perseverance. Perseverance produces hope. And produces character, and character produces hope.
Wow.
So think first you suffer, you persevere through, he develops your character, and then you have hope. It's so beautiful.
Self-growth.
Well, not God growth, you know?
Romans 3:5-6.
I was going to say, I think it's Romans, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
So how do you guys feel that prayer contributes to your growth?
Oh my gosh, you guys, I feel like I have not been a good prayer since day one.
Same.
Oh, and it has been the thing on my heart probably in the last 6 to 12 months that like I need to pray more. It's definitely an area where I feel like I can grow. I've always had like this constant communication with God, but I need to make it more frequent and deeper and richer. And so I'm definitely leaning into that now and praying for others. I started writing down prayers for other people. Never really done that.
Yeah.
It's made me more mindful of what's going on with others around me. And I've noticed I've even sent more messages to people. I have a lot of people that have like family in the hospital right now. And so I've just been more, what's the word? Like available to text them or call them and stuff. Like I've been thinking about them because I've been praying about them.
Right.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
Man. And on the receiving end for them, like that's you giving them like a little hug.
Yeah.
They're like, wow, she's thinking about me.
So weird.
I feel like with prayer, like I do it all the time. Like at night, like I'll just be laying in bed praying, but I don't think like I'm doing meaningful prayer maybe. Like I feel like I'm just talking to him and I'm like, well, maybe that's not like how I should be doing it. Like maybe there's like a structure that I'm not doing it correctly or whatever. But yeah, I pray all the time, but I feel like I'm just talking to him.
There's not like a right or wrong way, but like when you think about it, come to God. You should one, praise him for his gloriousness, thank him for the blessings in your life, ask for forgiveness of your sins, and then ask him for wisdom and guidance. And that's your prayer request. So like those 4 things, if you think about it, the glory, thank him for your blessings, ask him for forgiveness, and then, then ask for whatever you need. So like those 4 things. That's kind of guides me, like not always perfect, but in a sense.
True. Gotta work on that. What about you, Abby?
Actually, so I prayed, like Jameson came to me. Well, actually the past couple nights he's been sneaking into our daughter's room because he's too scared to sleep in his room.
Oh my gosh.
So we prayed over his room last night. So
that's powerful.
Yeah,
dude.
Did he sleep in his bed?
He did. Slept through the night in his bed, didn't wake up once.
I love that, Abby.
Yeah. We prayed over his room a couple times.
Okay.
He's 5, so he thinks there's monsters in the closet.
Vinny came into my room the other night crying. He's 10.
Aww.
He had a bad dream and he thinks it's real. I said, no, we're just
Cooper still does that.
I go, we're gonna pray. I'm just gonna say Jesus' name. It's scared of everything. He just fell right asleep in my arms, went back to bed.
Yeah. But I'm hoping that, especially with my kids, like seeing and hearing me pray, it allows them to grow like in their prayer time with God. And I'm still growing. I'm still learning how to correctly pray. Like I didn't know there was a way to correct
and I'm not saying there is.
No, but like I recently learned this maybe like 4 months ago. Like we were talking about it at Bible study.
Yes.
And
I think Sid was talking about it.
Yes. Yeah. And I've been working on that. Actually, my sister-in-law just got married last week. And so like after we all got ready, I like wrote out a prayer on my phone and I was like, can I pray over you?
That's
that okay?
awesome. That's
it
awesome.
was it was an amazing moment.
Really?
It was so awesome.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Wow.
So all the women like came in the room and we all prayed over her.
I started praying over,
cool.
well, I've been praying over our Tigers team, like a lot of times before we hit the field, which is really cool. Sometimes the boys will pray.
I was like, how do they take it?
Sometimes Jay will be like, Hunter, lead the prayer. Vinny, lead the prayer.
That is awesome.
Oh yeah, they do. They do. We take our hats off and they pray. It's adorable.
Aww.
It's amazing.
That's awson.
Yeah.
Man,
cool.
they're going to have such confidence in their prayer whenever they get older.
I'm like, heck yeah, I've been doing this since I was 10.
Yeah. I always think of that line from A League of Their Own where Tom Hanks is praying and he goes, may our bats be mighty.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like praying. Yeah, you remember that?
Do you add that in there every time you pray?
I have once.
That's awesome.
So can you guys share a time that prayer made a difference in your growth journeys?
Ooh.
Thinking about, I would just say that the time that I was in that valley, like I would cry constantly. I was so, I don't know if I was depressed, sad, worried, scared, fearful, just
probably all of it.
Thought I was going to lose the business, thought I was going to lose our house. Like, I mean, you name it. Had little babies, like, and I would just pray to God, like, God, why did you bring me here? Did you bring me here for this? Like, what, why did I do all of this? Because I always felt like God put me on the path of business and then to have it all just die. But there was a lot of things he was shaping me in that time. And so like, I guess that prayer, just constant communication got me through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, keep my head leveled, kept me grounded, gave me some hope. I mean, it was hanging on by a thread.
She's like, it was just a little piece.
I would say like a major one for me is like, it's a part of my testimony is I essentially like, I prayed for you guys. Like I prayed for these women in my life, like not knowing who they were at the time, but I prayed to be around more Christian, especially women.
Yeah.
I had a lot of Christian men in my life, but not a lot of Christian women.
Huh.
So yeah.
Wow.
So thanks for being you.
Anytime.
So yeah,
I love that we can
like
call
this is a God thing. Like me being here for sure.
that's pretty amazing. I mean, Abby said she was praying that God would like pull her closer back in, or
yeah, I was. So a part of my testimony, it's basically I was isolated. I felt like from like a lot of people in my life, and then plus, I just wasn't close to God. Like it was not something that He was not a focus in my life, and wasn't a great time in my life. And so I just prayed to Him. I'm like, man, like I want you in my life more, and I want to be surrounded by people that bring me to you.
Whoa.
And so now look at me now.
And then she's like, enter Jillian.
No, how now we have Bible study every week. Like
How many years ago did you pray that prayer?
Honestly, I prayed it right before I started here.
Oh,
Which would have
really?
been when? May of
2.5 years ago? 2 years ago?
May of 22?
Yes. Yeah.
Uh-huh. And you felt God led you to Fit Flavors.
Yeah. Specifically, yes, because during my interview process, my first interview was with Sid on the phone, and she goes, hey, I hope this doesn't make you uncomfortable, but the Tedescos are a Christian family and they pray a lot. Would that make you uncomfortable? And I was like, I've never been asked this in an interview before.
You're like, bring me in.
I was like, is this it? These are the people?
Did that run through your mind?
Yes. And so I was like, this must be it. So that's why actually whenever I took the position at Fit Flavors, I had another job offer. And so I was praying about Fit Flavors because this was the only one that showed any like shed of Christianity or like God in the relationship. And so I was like, I really hope this is it. And then, yeah, I met you and we were talking about it for a little bit on our walk. And so yeah.
Wow.
So I'm here. Yeah, my interview with Jillian. We went for a walk on her interview, and I called Sid and I go, "What do I wear on a walking interview?"
Like at 6, I think it was at 6 a.m. or something, 7 a.m.
No, it wasn't. Was it?
It was early.
I
wanted
think it was.
Well, I wanted to see how you'd show up in the morning. To be honest, I think it was early.
I slayed clearly.
Should have all just shoveled.
Yeah, wouldn't have hired you. No.
So he's like, you need some mascara.
Oh my gosh.
That's funny.
Back on track. So how does trusting in God's plan guide our decisions and goals?
Say that again.
How does trusting in God's plan guide our decisions and goals?
You got to remember that it's His plan, not yours.
Yeah.
Once you're submissive to that, like,
you want to hear God laugh? Tell him your plan.
Me right now.
That's funny. Yeah, I think just like remembering to like counsel Him with all the things, and let Him lead you. Sometimes it's frustrating because like you want the answer now. I'm looking at Maddie. But a lot of times there's like lessons in the waiting, and there's character development in the waiting.
Yeah.
So it's being patient and persevering through whatever He's having you walk through, and faith that He will deliver what you need at the right time. That's what I always think is like sometimes it's not the right time. It's when I want it, but it might not be His timing. So just being able to trust that. When you can trust that process, that process of waiting for Him, you're honoring Him because He will show up for you. Exclamation mark. Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
I think for me, like whenever I'm making goals, I'm like, now I'm at the point in my relationship with Him, whenever I'm making goals, I'm like, does this glorify Him? Like, I don't like if I ever have like goals, like I used to set goals based off like, oh, I want to get like this much money. So it's like I was looking at money as like an idol as opposed to like doing it to glorify God.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like that's how like kind of I've been shaping my goals
Like
lately.
change your
Like
mindset about it.
Yeah.
That's
Wow.
a good
How about you,
idea.
Maddie?
Well, I need to be doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, right now I think I'm learning to trust Him more. Like obviously, like I'm still in that battle where I'm like, it's my plan. Like, this is what I want. And he's like,
how's that working for you, Maddie?
Joke's on you. So like I'm sitting there and I'm like, well, why isn't this happening for me? Like, I'm doing all these things. I'm planning, like, blah, blah, blah.
Can't be checking boxes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. That's it. And that's a big thing I have to let go of because I've always been like, to do.
I went through that.
Yep.
I kept feeling like I'm checking every box.
Yeah.
I'm checking every box. I started getting impatient.
Yep.
And it's like,
where I'm at right now.
wait on the Lord.
I know. So that's like my biggest thing is like.
That's a verse too. I don't know where that one is. It's probably a Psalms or a prophecy. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where I'm at right now. I just need to put all my faith and trust in him and just give it all up to him because I'm not in control and I need to realize that. And it's not just a box you're checking off. And yeah.
What are some ways that you think you could apply some of the things that we've learned biblically to grow?
Oh, geez. I think like the biggest thing is just having full faith in him, like being diligent in like my Bible study and like really diving into his word and like putting my whole life in him or him in my whole life and not half-assing it. Like,
ooh, so
I think like that's what I've been doing. Like,
yeah.
I'm like, oh, I'm good for like 3 days. And then the rest of them, I'm like, well, I'm too busy.
Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of.
Dude, the craziest prayer I prayed a couple years ago was, love your God with all your heart, mind, soul, all that might. Love God before anything else. And I was like, but my husband. And I said, God, I pray, can you show me how to love you more than I love my husband?
Ooh.
Yeah.
I just got chills.
And I have been walking on that journey in the last 3-4 years.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, because that's
deep. That's a lot.
It's hard. Yeah.
How is that possible?
That's
right?
a heavy, yeah.
Yeah. So we're walking through that right now.
And now, like, so with that, like, does Jason feel that? Like, is he like, no, you should love me more than?
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Like, he's like, that's your God. And like,
no, Jay knows where I stand with all this stuff. I mean, he's had the front row seat
true.
Through my ups and my downs. Yeah, he's seen me cry like for 4 years.
I just
straight
imagine
in
like
church.
Jason and God being like, "Go,
like
Jillian,
Team Jillian."
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. They're my cheerleaders, right? Yeah.
But I think my answer for that question is similar
Yeah.
to Maddie's. Like, there's a parable in the Bible that talks about seeds getting thrown along the path, and then like
not taking root, getting
Yes.
choked up, getting
Mhm.
eaten by the birds,
yes,
choked up by
And
the like the other weeds and stuff. So
Yeah.
and it's just like seed that falls on someone who doesn't let it soak in, seed that
Mhm.
falls on someone who then gets carried away by the worries of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's the seed that actually finds good soil and makes a root.
I want
And
that to
then-
be me.
And then
I need that.
Yeah.
and then produces a fruit or harvest
Mhm.
like 70 times
Yeah.
bigger.
I want that to be me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to get plucked away by the birds. No.
Yeah.
So we've talked a lot about tough times. How do you think your faith helps you stay like strong in those tough times?
Because I can give it all to God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
So I talked to this counselor once. She was actually someone I interviewed on the podcast years ago.
Mhm.
Her name was Mimi. If you guys want to go back and listen to it, it was pretty interesting, her journey with God and how she's correlated that with her nutrition journey and eating disorder. But she gave me this image of Jesus that has never left me. It's the most impactful thing she said to me in getting to know her. And she said, imagine Jesus with a wheelbarrow and he's walking right behind you. And he said, give me all your shit.
Oh, I've seen that. Like
You've seen an image of that?
Yeah.
Oh, well, she goes, there's that another verse that says, take my yoke, it's lighter. I'll carry
Mhm.
yours. Like, give me your burden. And so like, she said, just dump it in his wheelbarrow.
Hmm.
That worry, that anxiety, whatever that, like physically see yourself, give him that thing and him smile at you and just give you like, just peace. And I was like, so sometimes when I'm down and I think of Jesus with this wheelbarrow, like, and then I think of like him actually dying and what he went through. So I would give him that. And it's like, why wouldn't I just give it to him and try? Why wouldn't I try?
Yeah.
yeah. And don't get me wrong. Like, it is easier said than done.
Correct.
Yeah.
Like
You're going through it and it's
Yeah.
going to take some time. And that's the whole point of like shaping you. If it was
Yeah.
instant gratification, like,
You wouldn't appreciate it.
well, and it's just, that's not how things work.
Yeah, true.
yeah. Now I'm at the point, like, whenever like I feel like I do it a lot now in my life whenever I get overstimulated very easily with my children. I love them so much, but man, just get a little overstimulated sometimes.
What do you mean?
Overstimulated, like they're running around, they're yelling, and I'm like trying to get stuff done, and I'm like, and just it gives me anxiety.
Are you like Charlotte hiding in the pantry?
Am I what?
Like Charlotte from Sex and the City.
Wasn't she like eating like?
She used to hide in the pantry and cry.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm not.
You don't get no.
No, I'm not doing that.
I'm not that down bad.
No,
you know?
okay.
I'm like, just like I start to feel it, and I'm just like, and
like,
just
like if they could say "mom" one more time. I think Sal is like a broken record with mom. Mom. Yeah.
My brother's
Mommy,
like that.
mom.
Yeah, that's my brother.
Yeah.
My mom's like, stop.
Okay,
So like, now I'm just gonna.
So you get overwhelmed and you get a little frustrated.
And so like I just find myself like whenever that happens, like I'll just like take a deep breath, and I'm like, man, I have kids that are running around that are making a lot of noise.
Yeah.
Like I'm so grateful
The
for
opposite perspective.
Yes. Dude, I'm like, how blessed am I that I have healthy kids that are running around and screaming.
Wow.
Like,
Yep.
Yep.
Real.
Yep.
So
Change your perspective. Good job,
Yeah.
Dad.
Yeah.
you know.
That's great.
Role model.
Abby is a role model,
She
man.
really
She's
is.
got her shit together.
I'm like, shoot, if I could be half the mom you are. I'm like,
Oh, thanks. But don't catch me on a bad day.
I'm just kidding. I can't imagine you angry.
Just ask my kids.
I don't know.
Do you yell?
Just kidding. Rarely,
Okay.
but like only when I need to, you know, because
Like, you're
sometimes
stern?
they do things that I'm just like,
Who do you yell at
Why?
most? The kids or Ray?
oh, the kids. Honestly, I don't know that I've ever yelled at Raymond.
Wow.
We've never yelled at each other. Never
good.
called each other names. Never. We don't do that.
That's good.
We set like a very solid boundary whenever like we got together.
That's good.
That just we don't do that.
We don't do
So.
that either.
You know?
That's good.
Yeah. I don't even know how I would respond to that.
Oh,
Really?
I can't
I
even-
wouldn't respond.
I couldn't.
I'd be like, hi. Like,
You need to cool down.
I couldn't even picture that.
right.
That's
I could never see Jason yelling at you.
Well, not even that. Like, I'm normally the one with my tail between my legs. I'm always in trouble. He's always the one that's right. I'm always wrong.
I just picture him just being like,
He's like, you're lucky you're cute. Or I'll say, aren't you going to discipline the kids? He goes, I don't discipline you. That's his famous line.
oh.
Yeah, meaning like, give him a break.
yeah.
I give you nonstop breaks. Yeah.
Jason's like, get it together.
That's funny.
So, how do you guys think we can apply the Bible teachings to grow personally?
Just like what we were talking about. I
Yeah.
mean, really just like you reading that word and letting it soak in.
Mm-hmm.
And not just like in one ear and out the other. They're all valuable lessons that you can correlate into today's life. I love the
Yeah.
stories of like, you look at all the broken people in the Bible that God chose to work through. I mean, Moses.
Oh, it's my favorite thing I've learned from the Bible.
Little
So
shepherd
good.
boy David, like the criminal Paul, like he literally takes these broken people and changes their heart, and then they become these mighty warriors, mighty kings, mighty pastors or
Yeah.
theologians or whatever. And it's like God. Oh, I have this famous line. Actually, it's a quote in my book. It says, "God doesn't care about your ability; he cares about your availability."
Mhm.
Oh.
You know, so like you being available to God and allowing him to use you is super powerful.
Mm.
You just got to be
That is
available. Most
true.
people aren't available, hence the ego.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's
Ego
true. Their ego gets
is
in the way.
etching God out.
Dude,
I-
Jillian's coming in with
I mean,
all the
look
golden
at her.
nuggets
I
today.
can't take credit
Not
for
at
that.
all.
That is from one of my friends on Instagram. Dan the man.
Oh.
Dan the man. He used to be a Fifth Flavors customer. He moved away.
Aw.
Yeah.
Dan,
Come back,
come
Dan.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's great. He taught me that. And I was like, that's a good one.
That is really
That is
good.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just got to change your perspective on it.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to talk about ways to live out Christian values in today's world.
Mhm.
So what does that look like for you guys? Like in like today's culture?
Yeah, I mean, today's
Oh.
culture is just against everything, right?
Yeah, I was like, today's
It's like
culture
everything good is bad now, or you get like it's almost like it's like backwards.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Raymond shared this meme, and it was these people in a pool, and there was people in a circle around a guy, and then there was a guy in the middle, and the people around the circle were in like yellow, like dirty water, and then the one guy in the middle was in clean water, and like they were staring at the guy in the clean water,
Like,
like-
there's something wrong.
like
with
there
him.
was something wrong with him, and like dirty about him, as opposed to the people in like the dirty water.
Yeah.
It's like you're
and
not
so-
following the crowd or whatever.
Right.
I think the way I would sum it up is today's messaging and narrative that's a lot in the culture is about me and my truth and what makes me feel good and my feelings and what I think I am. Well, what you think and how you feel is one thing, but then there's truth. And so like, that's my belief. And that's my truth is I believe there is a truth. You can't just make your own truth up. So that's what I believe.
Yeah, I agree.
But like one thing I can do to live out my values is like, he's just trying to be a little more obedient to, his word. And like I said earlier, like if you follow those right things, you can get, blessings and prosperity. And when you veer away, that's when you are distracted by the culture, distracted by the negative narrative, like the not of God.
Yeah.
And like, think about it this way too. Like, oh my gosh, I lost my train of thought I was going at. Shoot, where was I going? Dang it. Lost my train of thought.
Living out values in today's society.
Lost my train of thought, guys. Dang. I was thinking about two separate things. I was going to talk about the upside down kingdom, but that's not what I wanted to talk about.
Oh.
All right, you go, and I'll think if I can remember it.
What do you think, Abby?
I think for me, it's instilling these values in my kids.
Yeah.
And bringing them to church, allowing them to see me pray, allowing them to see Raymond pray. And just knowing that like God is in the center of our household.
True.
So,
yeah. I mean, if you want to live it out, you have to keep him in the center.
Yeah.
Whether it be your kids, your friends that you have around you, or the people you have coming in your home, like you want to have him kind of, I don't know, like radiate off of you in a way so that people know they're like, this is a house of God. This is the person of God. Like,
and also I think so too, like now I love my close circle of friends, but I'm at the point now that if I were to go through something that I needed advice on, like I would be seeking advice from a Christian as opposed to my close friends, because I know that their answer is not going to be aligned
in your truth and foundation.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And you think about
which I adore them. I love them so much.
It's coming from their truth and their experience.
Yeah.
Not in God's biblical truth and foundation.
Yeah.
I think I was just trying to say like teaching my kids the truth is really important. So I think that's a way I can live out the values is like as I develop them, is teaching them what is true and what is not.
Right.
And at the end of the day, Jesus loves everyone and doesn't treat anyone different.
True.
But he calls out what is true and what is not true.
Yeah.
And to stand up for what is right. That's what's hard in today's world. Because there's a lot of judgment going on today.
Cancel culture.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
Nobody can have an opinion anymore.
Who was it? Someone was just talking about cancel culture the other day. The Dana White? I think it's Dana White. He was talking about cancel culture and he's like, man, cancel culture, essentially he was saying that it's so bad that people can't be their authentic selves because they're so worried about getting canceled.
Dumb.
Well, I do believe faith has had a tremendous part in my personal development as a human and my character. It's definitely changed as I've gotten a little older, and definitely feel myself not wanting to do the things I wanted to do in my 20s and almost like thinking like, wow, dang, it took me a long time to get here. And like, it's almost like a maturity thing, even down to like listening to certain music and watching certain movies and what I allow.
That's a good one.
Allow into my mind and into my head. And so like.
And into your home.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I got another one for you. Do not conform to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Romans 2:12. And that is like what you put in is what you will think and become.
Yeah.
So if you want to see good and think good and stay the way God would intend you to, renew your mind on what is right and true. When you just open yourself up to those things, they become normal. And that's what the scary thing is it doesn't feel bad or look bad, but that's deception sometimes. And so like when it becomes more norm and you start to go further and further away, that's when like the separation stops. And it's like, when did I get so far?
Yeah.
And I've definitely been on the other side of the spectrum in my younger age. Yeah. Made a lot of bad decisions. A lot.
Well, we all have.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think about it.
So
thank the Lord Jesus died for our sins. I'll say that.
Well, yeah. So thanks for sharing you guys' journey with us and how it's helped just you develop and Maddie as you're going through it. I mean, That's a real spot, is
Yeah.
being in the thick of it and wait on the Lord. Did you find out where that's from?
Ooh,
No.
something popped up and it
She's like,
said
ooh.
Psalm.
I told you it was in Psalms or Proverbs.
27:14.
What does it say?
Hold on.
I was like,
Let me get it up. Wait on the Lord, be of good courage, and he shall strengthen thine heart. Wait, I say, on the Lord.
There you go.
There
You
you
should
go.
meditate on that. You should
I
put that
really
on your
should.
mirror.
I should. I need to start doing that more, like putting like Post-its up around.
You should just put that. Yeah, when you see the.
I have Jeremiah 29:11 hanging in my car.
Yes,
there
you
you
do.
Well, guys, thanks for joining us today. And if you got any questions about this, maybe you're on your journey and you never thought about this and you want to chat about it, you can always reach out to any of us on Instagram. We're all pretty active on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
So just Abby Lamb.
No, at
No.
Abzizzle.
Oh, that's right.
I need to change my name.
I don't even know your handle. And you are.
Mine's Madeline Marie 93. Abby and I really need to mature in our 30s with our Instagram.
I'm just
handle.
Jillian Tedesco.
We'll have them linked below.
Yeah, guys, but I hope you enjoyed today's podcast and it lifted you up in any ways. So we'll catch you next time.